Hi everyone, Mary at Espresso Press Design. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be doing some more stenciling with drawing mediums, and I found it to be quite fascinating that you could use alcohol to dissolve most of these mediums, including some unexpected ones. So that's what we're going to be doing, and you'll need some pencils, drawing pencils preferably, like so. This one is 4B. B is the softer lead. I think you'll find that easier. You'll need some sort of palette to scrub your pencil on. This is just the back of a placemat. Use something that you don't care about getting clean, because I used my larger one and then I had to use Barkeeper's Friend to actually clean it off there. Nothing would remove that. So that's pretty durable. You will need some charcoal pencils or charcoal sticks, whatever you have on hand. I have everything here. Have a house full of artists, so plenty of drawing materials around here. And surprisingly, colored pencils also work. So I have this entire set of cheap pencils that my daughter no longer uses, and I thought it's time to either find a way to use these or bag them up and give them to Goodwill. It's that time of year. You will need some paper of your choice. Now I used tissue paper, and I used copy paper. I have two different kinds here today. I'm going to try it on the charcoal on the copy paper to see if there actually is a difference. The last time I was using this thermal type paper that has a little bit of a tooth. So again, you might want to experiment with different papers. Copy paper is quite smooth. Things might smudge on there. They didn't smudge on this paper with a little bit of tooth. So you might want to resort to your sketchbook papers or something with a little bit of a texture, because of course you don't want it to rub off after you do it. And that, aside from the pencil and the color pencil, which does not rub off at all. Here's some examples. That does not rub off at all. I think it might depend a little bit on, this is charcoal. That's not rubbing off. I think it might depend a little bit of how much alcohol you mix with this. The alcohol might act as a sealant to a degree, is what I'm thinking. Similar to with the pastels. You will need some rubbing alcohol. You will need a mixture of water and rubbing alcohol. Now I added quite a bit of alcohol to this, so it's probably 1/3 water, 2/3 alcohol. For the colored pencil, I'm going to be using straight alcohol, so I have a little container here to pour some in. You'll need some blending brushes. And I would suggest keeping a couple dedicated to these mediums, because using this charcoal is kind of misshaping my one blending brush here. So I dedicated two to these mediums. You might find that it tears up your brushes a little bit. So, and you will need some sanding paper. Now I picked up this little packet, Dollar Tree, 36 pieces, and it is pretty much compact, easy to store, and pretty much perfect for the craft room. So you'll need a sheet or two of sanding paper. I don't think it matters what grit. I just grabbed the easiest ones out of the back of the stack, and I was using those. That's how you're going to extract your charcoal and your colored pencil. And I could not find any other surface that they would write on. They wouldn't work on the placemat. They wouldn't work on any other type of palette. Of course, you're going to get it wet, so it's better to wet your brush in something else rather than keep spraying your sandpaper. So that was the only type of palette that I could come up with. And I'm losing my voice already. I hate winter. Seriously. Sorry. But I want to show you here. I did a little bit of a Tim Holtz paper type thing, and put a piece in my book. But the one that really intrigued me for a winter journal was the pencil. So I got my last year's winter journal here, and I did some pencil stenciling, if I can find it. That, and I did some trees. I did that. Very subtle. Very nice. Oh, there's one. And then there's another. I love that. That seems so appropriate for a winter journal, and that is not, there's nothing coming off there. That would look so pretty with some pen and ink next to it. So I think this, the pencil especially, is so nice for subtle effects in your journal. So that's what we're going to be doing. So let's begin with the pencil. That is the easiest. You're going to need some stencils, of course. I forgot to say that. So let me just get a couple here. The thermal paper and the copy paper. Keep those visible. So you're just going to take your pencil and you do that on a clean part, and you're just going to scrub it on your palette. as much as possible. Although this will come off for quite a while. You will get many, many stencils. You can keep going over that and re-wetting that and keep taking it off until the cows come home. So then I'm just going to use, this is the alcohol and water. I'm just going to spray that one directly. And make sure I'm getting some off my brush on my brush here. I cleaned that as best I could. And I'm just using a very light touch because I don't want any seepage. This is very Seth Apter-ish, Seth Apter. That's who I think of when I think of this. It's so subtle, and because of the way the pencil comes off on the edges, that actually has depth, as if you shaded it. Really quite beautiful and fascinating and different. So let me get some more here. Let me, well, no, I'll just keep spraying and I'll keep getting it off of there to show you that you can just keep going and going for quite some time. And I don't know if you can see that's actually spreading out on the palette and turning it a beautiful silvery color. But I mean, if you are a person that likes to draw, as my daughter does, or if you have some stencils of some very detailed stencils like flowers and things, the depth that you can get is amazing. So that one I smeared a little bit, but it's just amazing the depth that you can get. Now that's on my textured paper. So let me try it on the copy paper. And maybe I will add a little more pencil here. A little more graphite. Or you can also get art graph, liquid graphite in a jar, which is in a little tub, metal tub, which is quite beautiful. But if you are an artist, adding that to your backgrounds and things would be quite interesting. That was what I meant to say at first. If you had a focal point and then you just added some of that into the background, and you can watercolor on top of it. You can watercolor and you can watercolor first and then do that on top. I can tell this is much different because the paper is so smooth. This is going to be very subtle. There we go. But still, I still see depth. That number 3 looks like it's actually 3D. That's quite amazing. Let me bring that up there to show you, if you can see that. That number 3 looks like it has depth. So that's quite beautiful. So there's pencil, the easiest. And I meant to get a little paper here. Get a little piece of this. And use this as a swab. And test this out a little better for you. Okay, this is the textured paper. There's nothing coming off there. So I do think the alcohol does something. Okay, you could do that on tissue and use that as your collage. If you put some wax over that and make it completely transparent, that would give you some gorgeous effects on your vintage stuff, vintage postcards or whatever. Okay, nothing coming off there either. So pencil, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, let's move on to the charcoal. Now the charcoal, the gorgeous thing about the charcoal is the blackness. And the luscious black that you can get from charcoal. So let me get a textured one here. And for the charcoal, you're going to need a piece of sandpaper. And you're just going to scrub. Again, I have, that's HB, and this is 3B. So I'm going to use the softer one. It might matter too which one you're using. Okay. So let me get this. And the charcoal, I just used the water, and I just got some on my brush. Just sprayed a little bit. Got it on my brush. But I'm thinking maybe I should try the pure alcohol to get it to make sure we don't get any smearing. But again, it depended on the paper. So this is the beauty of the charcoal. You're still going to get that 3D depth. But if you want black, you are going to get black. And you can go over it as many times as you want. So let me keep that there. And try to lift a little more up here. Get that more black. So maybe I did not try, after this was done, spraying the top of it, misting the top of it. So you see there, if you want black, you are going to get a beautiful black and white for your painty papers. If working in black and white is for you. Let me get another clean thing here. Just make sure this is dry. And yesterday, that did go through my tissue paper a little bit. So let's test this. Yeah, I am getting a tiny bit off of there. But it still feels a little damp. Not much. Okay, I'm not going to be able to scrub that out of there. And again, I think it depends on how much alcohol you have in there. So let me try that with pure alcohol. Let me get some more. Let me get some more on here. And then I'm going to dissolve it with pure alcohol and see if that does act as a it might help it get absorbed into the paper. So okay, that's pure alcohol. And that is going to be, that's pretty juicy. Let me get another sheet of paper here. Okay, I don't, that's pretty wet. Let me blot some of that off a little bit. I don't want any puddles. And that is a lot more liquidy. Using the pure alcohol. Now that might have, I forgot to say that I saw that with the pastels of a pastel artist dissolving her pastels in with alcohol. But I did not remember if she was using 100% alcohol. So that might be the trick. Of actually having, now that is a little runny. I got too much moisture there. So let me do that again. Too much moisture, too much pressure. And I could try the harder charcoal pencil. Okay. I'm going to make sure this is doesn't have as much moisture in it. Now let me go lighter. Very light touch here. I also don't want it to dry out. And I also want it to be black, not like pencil. And of course, in the end, you can always just resort to a fixative if you're that worried about it. But once I got that on my collage piece there, nothing was coming off. Okay, let's make sure this is dry. Yeah, that might be the ticket. Yeah, virtually nothing is coming off there. So it might just depend on how much alcohol you get in there to get it to absorb into the paper. And then you don't have to worry about it with either the pastel or the charcoal. So that might be the key. But if it bothers you, as with the pastel, most people have fixative lying around. I don't, or if I do, I don't know where it is. I could have swore I had. I think actually maybe we do, because my husband took a drawing class. So maybe there is a spray bottle of fixative around here somewhere. I think he bought one. Okay, so let's move on to the colored pencil. And that will be the same, except you will need pure alcohol to dissolve your colored pencil. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to scrub some on our sandpaper. And let me get a different stencil here. Let's do this one. And I am going into the pure alcohol. And I'm getting some on my brush. And then I'm just kind of dissolving that powder. And hopefully I got enough, because this should come out pretty dark actually, and it's not. So maybe I didn't have enough. Let me see. That's okay, but that pencil was darker. That should be darker. Let me do a darker one. Okay. Let me get some more alcohol in there. And this, well, actually, you can do this on top of watercolor. So let's try this purple. Make sure it's on our brush there. There we go. And this is another one. If you don't have too much liquid, beautiful control. There, I had a little too much liquid, and this stencil isn't the greatest. Let me get a plain stencil. Here you go. Where's my little squares? Let's try that. See if I have any left in here. Yeah, it's still coming off. And it's mixing with the blue now. There. I'm still applying too much pressure. But let me do that again. Get a nice one. And the thing is, you're going to be losing your point in a hurry on this sandpaper. So these pencils are going to disappear pretty quickly. You're going to be sharpening them a lot. Okay. Now let me do this right, because I did it right yesterday. Not too much pressure, but I want that beautiful color. Because that's the feature of the colored pencils, your color variety. Let's hope I didn't apply too much pressure to this. Get a nice clean stencil. There, that's much better. Little bit there. But this one isn't going anywhere at all. Once it's dry. Make sure it's dry. And you can layer it over each other. It gives you some pretty cool effects. So there, I got one little wet spot, but that is not going anywhere. Okay, so that is a nice way to use up materials that you might be giving away or throwing away or whatever. So let me just do, I did do this on using the charcoal, but since I only have 2 pieces of tissue paper left, I want to do one using the pencil. Let me see if I can get this cleaned off enough. And then do some, just a little bit here with the pencil, because I think this would be a great effect with the collage. So let me mop up the rest of this alcohol and see how much more I can get off of here. And try to get one started here with pencil. And it might have a little too much moisture here. I do have a little too much moisture. And this is not, this is shiny. That should probably be on the other side. Yeah. It should be on the other side of that paper. Let me see how much I can keep getting off here. And do one in gray. Or at least get one started. That way I have one of each. And I hope I'm not squeezing out too much moisture here. No, that's okay. That is just beautiful. Now you could do this and then you could stamp on top and get a double effect with black. Make some very interesting collage paper. I'm not sure if the pure alcohol is making this go better. Or if I'm just getting a mixture here of charcoal and pencil, because I still have both in my brush. But that is so, that's gorgeous. And then I would just go around there and add some different type textures. I don't think I have enough. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I would just get some variety in there in different places. And once you put that on top of something, if you did some wax over it, that would be beautiful. Very subtle. Perfect for your vintagey look. Let's try this. I don't have very good luck with this stencil. This word one. So as you can see, I'm still getting, if you can see, I'm still getting pencil to come off there. And since I don't want too much moisture, especially with this pencil, or stencil, And keep this very light touch. See, this stencil, doesn't matter what I do, it seems to squeeze out too much moisture as compared to this one, which always comes out clean. I don't know why. I think those words are maybe too close together, I don't know. Or it's just operator error. But I just love this pencil effect. Yeah, I still have too much moisture in there. So even that one's a little blurry. But this is perfect. So, okay, you can make some collage papers. You can use, like I did in the winter journal. You can, here's another pencil one I did previously. That's very light. There's the charcoal. There's the charcoal. There's the pencil. And there's the color. There's my other colored pencil. The one that came out better. Okay, there's the colored pencil. No, I did show that in the beginning, where I got it to come out much better there. But it just takes a matter of scrubbing enough pencil and not applying too much pressure. But that's not going anywhere once it's dry. And there's the beautiful pencil with the dimensional shading effect. I can't get over how that looks, as if it's going into the paper, the depth of that. It's like I hand shaded it with an airbrush or something. That's unbelievable. Okay, everyone, so there's 3 new drawing mediums that you can stencil with and give yourself some different effects in addition to the pastels, the oil pastels and the chalk pastels last week. So that's 5 new materials that you can play around with and find different ways to use your stencils and create different effects. So, okay, thanks for your time, and I hope you'll give these a try. A lot of fun. Helps get you out of your box and think of new ways to use things. You have a great day and a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.